someday? Ready to finally start living your best life right now?
You're in the right place. I'm David.
And I'm Wendy.
And this is the David and Wendy podcast. We're your life coaches here to move you from excuses to action.
From mastering your mindset to finding real joy, we're keeping it real, raw, and maybe just a little ridiculous.
Let's get into it, Wendy.
Let's go, David.
Welcome back to the David and Wendy podcast. Today's episode is How is something possible and why?
Yes, a great topic today. How is something possible? Well, according to Merriam-Webster, the word possible means capable of happening, existing, or being achieved without implying a high likelihood of it actually occurring. It acknowledges something may or may not be true or may be done given the proper conditions. To me, when I hear that proper conditions, I think of the mindset and the words around whatever event being, doing the thing that you're thinking about, right? The thing that you think is possible.
Right.
I know that David and I keep saying week after week that the words we say matter. They really do. And this means not only our spoken words, but our unspoken words as well, which also known as our thoughts, right?
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, this is a key factor in determining if something is possible. If you're thinking it is possible, well, then so it will be. If you remember last week's episode, we were talking about something being impossible. And we said, well, if you think that it's impossible, so that will be. But today we're focusing on possibilities. And if you think it's possible, so it will be. It's very important to know, because I can hear some of you thinking and saying to yourself, well, what if the thing that I want to be or do or have doesn't happen? Well, once again, the words around that, the words you choose, matter as well. So instead of saying something like, I failed or that didn't work, just changing the words to say something like, look at what information I'm gaining. Look at what I'm learning from this experience. What can I learn from this? And then just move on. I'm hoping you guys can see that the mindset, or the self-talk, how important it is here. This is just, that's where it's all at.
Right, because the self-talk is, whether outside or inside, the self-talk sets up how you feel. It sets up what you start thinking about, and then it sets up how your body feels, and the whole system communicates.
Yes. And that's what and looking at things not as a failure, but as a learning experience, choosing your words wisely, very carefully there. And along this line, several people have, said this phrase, change your thoughts, change your life. But I know specifically Dr. Wayne Dyer, he titled one of his books this, which I thought was change your thoughts and change your life. So as David just mentioned, the words that we say and that self-talk, it affects our body. So, it really boils down to, are you being encouraging or discouraging? And we feel both of them in our body, right? So when you think of something being encouraging or, a positive or it's possible, you feel open, right? You're in a receiving mode and your body just feels more relaxed and just open to what is and the possibilities. Where if you feel, discouraging or that something's impossible, it feels very limiting, right? Like you feel it in your body. You feel closed down. You feel just really limited. So I encourage all of you to just really think about, where your thoughts are and then how that feels in your body. And we keep saying this week after week. But when you think something's possible or quote unquote impossible, feel it in your body. because both are very different.
Yeah, yeah, it is very different, and they've done studies. I've probably mentioned this before because it's so illuminating, where they'll put money on the ground, right, and then they'll just watch people walk by, and some people pick it up and some people don't, and they interview all of them and they ask them what's going on, how they are and whatnot, and the almost invariably the people that pick up the money say they're just having a good day. Everything seems to be working out for them. And the people that don't pick up the money uh, talk about their struggle, right? How they're still focused on their struggle and what's going on. So yes, it
Mm.
all starts with a thought. Um, and so when you think about something that you'd like to do, right? You're sometimes we're looking for a change. We want to do something, you know, sometimes there's a life goal, right? We want to make a big change, not just go to see a movie, but we want a big change. And if you notice, it's typically something fun, right? Or it feels exciting. It feels your whole body, your whole chemistry in your body changes, and you get, you know, this flush of just energy. And typically, this is when we're moving in on something like this, it's really even beneficial for others in one way or another, right? And,
Mm.
so that's a whole nother level. But where we get to is, what level of possibility do you feel like it is for you, right? It
Mm.
could change your body chemistry and be all exciting, and you're like, yes, this has got to be it. But we hit the fork in the road at a point, and it's where it seems impossible, right? There's sometimes it's
Mhm.
such a big thing. You're like, I don't think that's ever going to work out. And the fork in the road is, never mind. It's too impossible. It'll never happen. Or I don't know how it's going to happen, but I know it's
Mm.
happening. Right. And I
Mhm.
know we've all had that experience.
Oh, for sure.
Right. Yeah. So the next step to this is when you get that and when you're in the fork of the road, you'll want to share this idea with others. Typically it's, people who are close to you, who you know and love, that you feel, safe to share with, right? And even then some of these people will be, you know a little concerned, right? They'll want to varying
Mm.
degrees. They'll like, oh, well, are you sure about that?
Right.
This is kind of a new adventure. Are you better be careful. And from that on to, oh, I wouldn't do that if I were you, right? Kind of thing.
Mm.
Uh, and then some of those people will be fully behind you with support, won't they? They'll
Mm.
be,
Yes.
wow, that sounds awesome. That sounds great. So, you know, they're all trying to support you.
Mhm.
It's just that the ones that are being, we'll call in a word, cautious, concerned maybe, they're just trying to protect you, right? They don't want you to
Right.
get disappointed or even hurt, but they're also
Mm.
limiting you if you buy into it.
Right.
So these are the, we call this glass half full and glass half empty perspectives. But,
Yeah.
people throughout the ages have done things that were once thought and even argued by some to be impossible. Right?
Yeah.
It's a good thing that at least some of these people didn't listen to the half empty perspectives,
Mm.
because we may not have things like airplanes, right? The Wright brothers, people
Right.
people thought they were crazy.
Mhm.
Um, we may not have cars or light bulbs or even telephones, and those were all people that, you know it sparked an idea and they followed it through, regardless of how big the wall in front of them looked, and they found the door
Mm.
to get through the wall. Right? They just walked right through and kept going.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's and think about this, right? How many great ideas and advancements have we missed throughout time, right? When the holder of this grand idea was talked out of it, we'll have no idea.
Mm. Huh. No, no, we won't. And yeah, that's, oh my gosh, yeah, I have experienced this. I've heard it several times and seen it in my role at the college where I work as a success coach. We currently have a new student that's going to be starting in September, and she's entering our automotive technology program. And we had a meeting, just to get to know you and a few students at a time. And she shared with me, with a group, that her parents do not support her decision to become a certified technician, to even get in the field.
Mm.
Um, yeah, because they literally told her that it wasn't a place for girls. And yeah, that was, to say the least, a little disheartening. And she was very passionate, but she handled it so well. And she said that she has shared that passion, that she's had that desire with her parents, and her mom's slowly accepting it, but her dad really says no. You need to go into like the medical field or something. And but she says no. I'm 19. I can make my own decisions, and she's acknowledging her dreams and following them. And she even said this. I mean, she has a great awareness for a young 19-year-old. She said, if it for some reason doesn't quote unquote work out, or have another desire, then I just move on. But look what I've learned, she said, in the process. So, or I'm going to learn in the process.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So when you follow your passion, it will lead you to amazing places, and the
Mm,
learning is invaluable, right?
absolutely.
Because sometimes following a passion gets you to a place that you didn't even know it existed, right? And you see a
Exactly.
whole a whole other bigger thing on the other side.
Hmm.
And so sometimes passions are just stepping stones to yet bigger passions. Um,
Mm,
and you've
I agree.
right, you've probably experienced that, right, in the
Hmm.
past. And the trick is, right, how did you nurture and believe in them, and what kind of support did you receive, right? These are the two pieces. Well, and the third piece really would be, of the support you received, how did you respond to that, right? How did you handle that?
Mm,
So compare the passions that you left behind, or were talked out of, to the ones you
mhm.
actually realized, brought to fruition in your experience.
Right.
And can you recognize the fork in the road for them at that point? Some of them will be more subtle than others, but there was a point when you made a decision
Mm,
to leave one behind, or to carry it forward, right? So explore that, explore what influenced that decision,
mm,
right? Because therein
yeah.
lies the key to seeing it through and creating
Yeah.
the things um, that bring you, and typically even others, joy and fulfillment. So for the ones
Mm,
that you breathe life into and joyfully presented to the world, how did you do it? What were you thinking? How did you build the motivation and fuel your momentum?
mm. Great thought provoking questions, David. Wow. I hope our listeners really can think those through. Those are great. I often say this is why I encourage others, to pursue their dreams and their passions. And along with that statement, I offer them, I rarely use the word never, but I say, never let anyone or anything tell you that you cannot do, have, or be something. Because you can do anything you put your mind to.
Right.
I've always said that, to my personal children when I was a teacher, now as a coach, a life coach, and if it doesn't quote unquote turn out exactly how you imagined that it would, then you can pursue the next dream or passion. But my guess is that along that path, you're going to have learned something about yourself, or, something new, you
Yes,
know?
exactly. Exactly.
Yes.
So this brings us to the topic for next week: the difference between wanting it and having it. All right, that's the show for this week. We hope you are feeling motivated, like you're ready to take on the world.
If you got value today, do us a huge favor, like and subscribe, and leave us a review. It helps us reach more people just like you.
You can find all our info in the show notes and connect with us at our website, thedavidandwendypodcast.com.
We'll see you next week. And remember, always be kind, loving, and compassionate to everyone you meet.